Good afternoon, everybody. We're on the closing stretch, so the fourth session out of four today. Delighted to have you with us. Lovely to see so many people here. Please do say hello in the chat. Let us know where you're dialing in from today. I know there's people in the room already because we put a poll question up, which we're going to ask later on. And some of you are already responding to that poll question. You can't help yourselves, can you? You just have to be involved, didn't you? And we love it. We love the fact that you're involved. So thank you for that. Delighted that you're able to join us. Really keen on this session today, seeing how how this session goes. If you've been with us for the whole of the day, you'll know we started off looking at AI and how we're using AI and L&D. Then we started looking at the future. And understanding some of the other things that related to the future with learning development. Then we also looked at video in terms of content, really interesting session relating to video. And I can see there's people from all over the place. Brisbane, what are you doing up at night still watching stuff like this? Unbelievable. And what are you doing early in the morning from Mexico coming and saying hello to us? I love the fact that we've got people on both sides of the world. On half of the world actually joining us. And Phil, you've managed to do all four. Well done. For doing four from Ol. Nothing wrong with Ol. Lovely to see you. Delighted, like I say, for the fourth session today. And what we're looking at is looking at practical examples of AI and how we can use AI maybe in other ways of producing content. And to do that, really pleased to have with us Ollie Nussbaum, Managing Director of IMC Learning from Austria. Ollie, lovely to see you. I hope you're well.
Hi, hello.
Good stuff. You can't see the chat. Ollie can't see the chat. I can. And I can see we've got people from Michigan and Malaysia, Connecticut and Madrid. So there you go. We have got a range of people. And Ollie was like, we're going to get lots of people here. Yes, Ollie, we have. It's a global one.
And so, now we even got someone from Austria, which is me.
And someone from Austria as well. Ollie, we're going to do half hour, 40 minutes, 45 minutes or so, there or thereabouts. We've got some questions. I'll be diving in. But for the meantime, over to you.
Thank you very much. All right. I just start and share my screen. I'm very pleased to have you here, although I know it's the last session and some of you must already be exhausted, but I'll try to keep it as easy and as cool as it could be. And we're going to talk about AI in the learning content authoring. And just a few sentences about the company I'm working for and myself. You know, I've been in the e-learning industry since 1996, so basically the last millennium. And also my company is a German-based company, but we're all over the world, and we're, you know, our main product is a learning management system, but we're also creating content and also creating authoring tools. And one of those tools is basically a user-generated AI-powered tool, which, you know, is our topic today. Not the tool, but AI content creation. So if you want to see anything more, click on our on our website. And anyways, we're gonna create a handout for you, and you're gonna get all the slides later on. What will we be talking about? You know, first of all, a few things about the theoretical input, you know, the situation and how it is. Why is AI and content creation? Why are they a good fit? What are the major AI players? So for those of you who haven't, you know, done a lot with it, it might be a good overview and also explains a bit the reason on why we like AI so much in content creation. And then I'm going to give you some practical examples. We actually try to come full circle anyway, because we've seen, you know, quite a lot of different stuff today, specialized things, and I want to do a little general roundup and tell you what's possible at the moment, and then we leave room for some questions. And yeah, you can even try it out afterwards if you like to. Keep your mobile phones ready. I have a QR code waiting that you can actually see what AI has created. But that's going to be later. First of all, we're going to talk about the situation as it stands at the moment. Okay, what is the situation in my point of view? I mean, I've got a lot of experience, and we've got lots of clients all over the world, and we see the same challenges that are really ever present today. And the challenges in content creation are, first of all, the time constraints, and then on top of that, you're short on resources as well. So the knowledge must really be available in a very timely manner. So existing structures like e-learning content creators, specialized people are still very much needed, but the teams need to be expanded, and to be able to do that is something not every company or organization can really do in terms of, out of 5 e-learning creators, to make it 50 specialized people. It's just hard, and it doesn't work like that. So there really are time constraints. There's lots of content to be created, very little resources, and also the existing resources as people specializing in creating great looking, very interactive, simulative content, and not the everyday pieces. So, and as this session is really intended to show you the practical applications of AI in content creation, we will not be diving into a lot of other explanations. Just, this is something I wanted you to see, because it's about user-generated authoring, because that will be key in the future. Lots of organizations and companies have lots of documents, lots of information, lots of stuff that they want to create e-learnings or contents out of it that actually help people, that make sense. So about 70% of all productions should be done in-house, haven't been done like that. This hasn't been the case in the last 10 years or so, but it's getting more and more. And only 10% of those productions can be done by the professional e-learning production team, because they're highly specialized people. As I said, they're creating great projects that are time consuming to create. But 90% of any material, if we're talking about user generated authoring, should be done by subject matter experts, people who have the knowledge about a certain topic, but are not e-learning creators. So how can we combine those two? Because these are the real challenges. So the question is, what we would need is very, very simple technology, very simple tools to be able to create the majority of content, and still, have it, have good looking or even great looking content that is actually, actually a good way to transport knowledge. Okay, so the question is, do we have that technology? And I would rather say that the answer is yes, we do have the technology for that. And if we compare traditional e-learning authoring tools versus the user-generated tools, it's always easier. Everything's about easiness of use. You can familiarize yourself in a few minutes with these tools. Every subject matter expert can use it, and it also helps to save time from the experts. It's and to keep them for the projects that you really need to focus on, big e-learning projects for thousands of people, stuff like that. So the user-generated content tools are best suited for everything else except complex content. You're not gonna create simulative content with a user-generated tool because it's too complicated. the translation, localization, bring it into different languages should be extremely easy. That's what user-generated content authoring means, easy, speedy, still very good looking, and it should be AI driven and should be seamlessly integrated with AI. And from what we've seen in the last 3 years since we had our IMC Express tool, and we also produce other content authoring tools and also use tools from other vendors like Articulate or Adobe. So in general, with traditional authoring tools, you can only create so much. It's like 1 to 4 big e-learning contents per year per person if you're using specialized people to do that, because it takes time. I mean, the results are great, but it takes time. And from what we've seen with IMC Express, for example, is that people are producing 25 to even 100 is too little. I mean, even 200 contents per year per person. And I mean, I think that's not even the end of it, with, the evolvement of AI, it's faster and faster. It's getting faster. And now we've established that user-generated content is possible. Yes, we have the tools for it, but how do we cope with it? What's the adoption rate of new technology? And if we're taking a look at something that shows us on how fast we're actually adopting stuff, is you can see technologies are evolving really, really fast. And so many things, even what I said today, user generated means everyone should be able to use those tools. And AI means it's extremely fast now. Every few months there's a new update for OpenAI, for example, that brings new functionalities, and the technology is evolving really fast. We as individuals are not so fast, but we're faster still than businesses and even public policy. So the question is, how fast can we adopt the stuff? And since technologies move faster than ever, and we do not as easily adapt to them as we think, but we also know that the adoption rate for new technologies is always slower than we would like it to be. But this is actually where AI comes into play, since it makes it so much easier to create content that makes sense and write it in a manner that actually works. That the strong suspicion is that the adoption rate is faster than, or will be faster than it was before. So we're almost at the end of my theoretical part. This is actually the setup which we have to talk about. We're looking at what we can do, or the everyday subject matter expert, not even e-learning expert, can work with tools and AI and technology that really helps creating meaningful and nice looking content in the future. And if we're talking about AI, and this is the last theoretical part, I promise, we're talking about AI foundation models. You probably heard of 1 or 2 of the foundation models. One, at least, you might have heard. Yeah, that's GPT from OpenAI. So it's actually a major AI service, and the other ones are AI model providers that are used as a base to fine-tune your own models. What does it mean? on the left side, the orange part is, the big AIs that basically let you do everything. And on the right side are the what we call dumb or stupid models that are actually, I call them expert models, basically. These models know a lot about, stuff that is specific to a certain topic, But on the other hand, they're, outside of that bubble, they don't know anything. So all of these models are still very, very text heavy and not yet fully multimodal. Multimodal means that texts, images, programming code, and all of that could be used in combination as the basis for a query or analysis. So Google's Gemini, for example, is already multimodal, and OpenAI is working on a multimodal model, but they're both still in their infancy. But that really doesn't matter, because any tool which uses, for example, OpenAI, like we do, at this point gets the automatic upgrades and updates, and you can grow with it. So if you have the fear of, not stepping into the AI, creation now because it develops so fast, don't worry. It's better to start now. I know this because we started 1.5 years ago, and you can grow with it because it will be doing so much more in the next 2, 3, 4 years, that, it might be not too late, but to step in late might not be a good idea, So this is basically the theoretical part, and now let's jump to the practical examples I promised in the beginning. In the last session with a bigger audience, there was about, I think, over 200 people in there. We asked a question, and I'm going to show you the results of the questions, and then we're going to go to our own poll. To be fair, I have to mention that I naturally used our own content creation software, IMC Express, for most of the examples, but that doesn't matter. It's only a placeholder. Please don't think that other tools are not capable of doing this. Everyone is jumping on that AI train at the moment. So this is the question I've asked 8 months ago. Are you already using AI-powered content creation tools? And if not, do you want to? And 35% of people were using them already in whatever way. Almost half of them want to, but hadn't found the right ones yet. That's what I told you. Better jump on a train with a large one of these models, like we with OpenAI do with IMC Express. Use OpenAI, jump on that now and grow with it, instead of looking forever. It's the same thing as you would wait for the newest smartphone because that's faster than the last one. So then you end up never buying any one of those. So I would suggest jump on the train right now, because it's always great to try it out. 16% were not allowed to, and 1% don't want to, because that is really a small group of people. So we asked that 8 months ago, and 8 months later, we want to know, what are you actually doing in terms of content creation? What tools, or what type of creation tasks are you using AI for? So I would, suggest we go for the poll now.
Good stuff. So more people have been answering the poll. We did have 6 responses, and it went up to 60, and now it's up to 70. I would love for you to tell us. So like Ollie says, he's done a list. He's checking it twice. He's done a little list there of some of the tools that he's got from from asking his AI as to how people might use content creation. There's 8 or 9 potential options there. Please tell us how or what content creation task you're using AI for, and you can answer multiple times. I'm just looking at the results. We're a few seconds behind, just all in terms of looking at the results. So we've got 75 results. So the majority, so a quarter of people are using it for content creation or content writing or editing, Ollie. Is that a surprise to you?
No, it doesn't, because the large language models. So the only thing that we've nailed with AI at the moment is text and translation and text creation. Anything else is still, a bit farther away. And
The
also,
second highest, which I think is interesting. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
No. I was just saying that this is the text is not only the thing that AI does best at the moment, but it's also the easiest to use.
Yeah, absolutely. The second highest, which I think is interesting, as a particular favorite of mine as well, is creation of questions or tests.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
It's just because it's a tedious task, It's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
tedious task. It's very simple to find a question and the right answer to it, but if you need to find 3 wrong answers that are, that make sense, that really test your knowledge, that's hard.
Yeah. Yeah. So multiple choice questions. I find it's really interesting to ask it to come up with an assessment rubric. What would exceptional performance look like? What would good performance look like? What would poor performance look like? And use that in a way to help understand the rubric for assessment. I think is a way that we could be using them. The others are all much for muchness. 1 in 10 people using it for images, videos, language translation, audio, etc., etc. The one that stands out is over 1 in 20, so 6% of people say none. We're not using AI. Does that surprise you?
No, it doesn't, because it's either what we've talked about earlier, that you just didn't want to go on the train right now. I mean, in this case, I would suggest hop on it.
Yeah.
It's nothing to lose.
Yeah.
And the second point is there. I mean, some things are still a bit unclear about regulations. There's a bit of fear in it. It's always involved. But I wouldn't. It's very, very easy to handle in terms of data protection and information security. It's not a big deal, because the biggest security risk is always we are the biggest security risk, as usual.
Exactly. I saw a really interesting phrase the other day, which is where organizations aren't sanctioning using these technologies. There's BYOAI, bring your own AI, and people actually using their own AI on a personal basis. And the risk obviously is substantially bigger there if you haven't got something that's been sanctioned within an organization. So there's definitely something around those conversations, I think, that needs to be had.
Yeah, doesn't surprise me either, because as we've seen in the adoption rate, we as a single person are adopting faster than companies are doing it, and since it saves so much time and all that, it's
It's interesting. I'm looking at some of the comments from people. I've just gone to the chat. So Catherine said, had some good success using it to create questions and learning activities that align to informing rubrics or standards. So Catherine, we're thinking the same way, which is good. So love it. Again, to everybody, please put your questions in. Make sure you got your questions in the chat, and we can pick those up with Ollie afterwards. But Ollie, I'll hand back over to you.
Yeah. So let's see the practical examples. As I've already told you, AI is not able to do everything right now, but it can do a lot of things that sound very, very hard to us, but are pretty simple if you have a lot of computing power. And AI is not. I mean, the word artificial intelligence is basically wrong anyway. artificial. Yes, it's true, but it sounds artificial, right? But it's not a good word. And intelligence is not intelligence. It's just because it's not sentient. It can't think logically, but it uses a lot of computer power, so that it looks like magic. It, for us, it looks like magic, but it's not. It's just computing power, but you can do amazing things with it. First of all, let's talk about translation. And as I've mentioned, the screenshots on the right side, they're of our tool. I mean, there are lots of other tools, but we've tried to incorporate all of the benefits of the AI within our authoring tool. And if you want to test it, you can test everything basically in that tool. So there are tools like DeepL or other translation engines that have a better understanding of text, and nowadays we really translate pretty easily into every other language on the planet. I mean, we ourselves have over 80 languages included in our tool, so that's a lot. It's more than most of you would ever need. So translation is pretty simple. Just click on translate, add another language. In this case, for example, I've added Italian in our list. Just applied it, and it's as easy as that. And pronto, everything's in Italian. It's especially important in Europe, I think, but all over the place actually, because what would be if all your people, consuming your content, would be able to listen and read the content in their mother tongues? It just would make everything simpler. And I think that's what it is actually. It's just a tool that really works out great. I mean, the advantage is clear. It's really to offer content in without really additional effort, in the mother tongues of the people working with you, and it's true that you can reach less educated professional groups with it. So if you translate it, why not let it speak? Yeah, why not? Indeed, it's the text-to-speech capabilities really have been evolving really quickly since I think 2021. There's Siri, there's Alexa, with Apple and Amazon. The artificial voices are doing extremely well, and some of them not so well, but most of them are. And recently, even OpenAI released voices that almost sound like real people. I mean, the prediction on the market is really that in a few years from now, you will not be able to distinguish the artificial voice from a real one. Sounds scary. I mean, lots of the stuff sounds scary, but it really isn't. In terms of content creation, makes everything so much easier. I click on the 2021 voice. Listen to the 2021 voice.
The objective is to provide helpful tips for establishing and sustaining healthy work-from-home habits.
It still sounds a bit computery, right? Then 1 year later, in 2022, the same sentence.
The objective is to provide helpful tips for establishing and sustaining healthy work-from-home habits.
It already sounds good, but the intonations and stuff are still a bit missing. It doesn't do all the ums and ahs and ohs, It's talking great, but listen to the AI voice of 2023.
The objective is to provide helpful tips for establishing and sustaining healthy work-from-home habits.
It even pauses at the right moments and stuff like that. So that is I think great. And this year they refined it, but I think it will be a lot better again next year or by the end of the year. So, and as I said, for example, if you're fearful that you've created content and you have the text to speech that doesn't sound good because it's from 2021, you just update it with a click of a button and you have the newest voices. So we'll try to make everything updatable, and because that makes sense, it's really something that does make a lot of sense. So the text to speech is great already. They've really taken big steps. Yeah, and I mean the artificial voices will, cut down the costs for professional speakers, but it will cost some jobs as well in the translation industry. I'm pretty sure of that. I mean, because the room for error is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. But I think for us in e-learning, it's a great tool. And then we have the AI video subtitling. I mean, we've seen that in the last session, what you can actually do with video creation. But that's still something that's a bit specialized, in terms of you have to, work good with software products. You have to be, a bit more techy, like normal, regular subject matter experts would be. So what we've done here is we've cut it down to the most basic part. And that is basically to drag and drop a video in a content, then let it, analyze the video and automatically generate subtitles, and then even create text to speech out of the subtitling, so that it dubs your video. So that is a very, very simple way. It's, as I said, it's, AI in use should, cater to two target groups. First, to the specialists, e-learning specialists. True, we always need that. But also to the large majority of people only using a tool like that once a month or once a year or very seldom, So this is an easy way to do it, and then naturally it also translates to the other languages, since we combine most of the tools should combine, text to speech, video subtitling, and translation, and that is really what makes a lot of sense. It really makes it possible to shoot videos in one language, and then save the costs for the dubbing, save the costs for the translation, all that stuff. So that's a simple way to put AI into good use. The other way, what we've seen also in the last session, is to create AI avatar videos. As I already said, I think these tools are still a bit too specialized in terms of giving it to everyone, for usage. It's just, they're not generally user generated or employee generated content tools. So not everyone will be able to use them. They're great tools. And I also think that in the next, let's say, 1, 2, 3 years, the large AI models like Google or OpenAI, Microsoft, they will come out with very simple and easy to use tools where you can type in a prompt and just get a video out of it. Just take a look at Sora from OpenAI. And just if you go to YouTube and type in Sora, Sora, then you'll see the future where they're going to. You just type in a prompt and you get a video out of it. You can, even direct your own video. So that is also an industry that will be booming in terms of make everything simpler as it was before. So, as I said, these are still specialized tools, but I think it makes your content better, and you get more variations in it. It also saves costs for video shoots, stuff like that. So the examples are Synthesia and Colossian. I mean, we've seen V. It's basically a tool that also goes into that direction. And naturally, since text is very heavily favored from the big AI models at the moment, it is able to rewrite your text. You know, if you have written text, if you're a subject matter expert, you oftentimes write it too complex, and then someone else can't read it, can't understand it, stuff like that, or you're writing too long, whatever it is, and afterwards you can always have the AI change the stuff. For example, you could tell it to shorten the text, to simplify it, to rewrite it a bit more creative, to expand it, to write positive speech, whatever it is. We, for example, tried to put in shortcuts where you don't even need to write the prompt, because prompting the AI is not always as simple as we think it is. Sometimes you get good results, sometimes not. And so we have prompt engineers who wrote that shortcuts that actually make a lot of sense. And then you always get a new version of it, and you can, decide to edit or replace the stuff you did. So what does it mean? You can have everyone creating content, and if the texts they're created are not, great or not extremely nice, readable, whatever, you can change them later with the AI. So you can really rewrite complicated text. You can shorten the text. You can shorten the processing time, and it really, really helps to produce more comprehensible text. That's what it really does. So always a great way to brush up your content. What we've also talked about is to create interactivity. Things like flip cards, swipe cards, multiple choice, single choice questions, and a lot more in the future, I think, can be done with AI, because I said already, it's so tedious to create questions, and just be mindful if you're creating anything with the AI that it really can't distinguish between right and wrong perfectly, not now anyways. So always make sure that you check the text for correctness. Just be the master of the information, that leaves you the nice task of looking through it and see if it's actually correct, So please be mindful of that. But it's a real great help, in creating questions. If you create a final exam, for example, and you wanted to, have like 15 multiple choice questions, you can now prompt the AI and tell it, hey, create a final exam with 15 questions that sum up the input I gave you. Yeah, and you can drop documents on it, as you will see right now. So yeah, this is, for example, a flip card. It has already been done by the AI, and you can preview it and take a look at it. So create interactivity is really great because it saves a lot of time. All right. Next, generating pictures with AI. I mean, where to start? There are different tools on the market now, from Midjourney to Stable Diffusion to Dolly. I mean, we use Dolly basically because it's from OpenAI. It's easy, it's simple, and these tools are getting more and more useful, but they're still, copyright wise kind of a gray zone. I mean, every copyrights are with you, and it's basically, you don't have to be fearful of copyrights. In the future, the picture generation will be certainly a disruptive element, because it's, picture libraries do contain lots of AI pictures at the moment. They got more and more model agencies, actors, stuff like that. So this is actually from our tool. This is the prompt: create a scene with a grumpy farmer, and yeah, it did just that. It goes from comic style stuff or digital art stuff to collages to even photorealistic stuff like this one here. And this is getting better and better all the time. So at the beginning of the year, hints of people used to have 6 fingers instead of 5 or 7, but now they're doing that perfectly. So this is getting better and better. Yeah, and this is the photo I use for my presentation, the portrait of 3 chimpanzees with suits. Yeah, this is actually, it brings surprisingly good results, if you do a good prompt, and it saves time, and for me, it fits mostly. Most of you will not use it at the moment, but I think still for background pictures and stuff, it can give you great help. And last but not least, what came out, I think 2 months ago, was the option that you can create content out of documents. They just drop documents on the AI and let it create an e-learning content out of it. So how does that work? I'll show you the example how it would be in our tool. So you just name your content, or then type in a bit of a prompt and drop some source documents on it. These can be Microsoft Word documents, PowerPoints, or PDFs. And you drop it on the AI, it analyzes all of that, and then it basically starts to create a content out of thin air. And if you want to see how that looks, get out your smartphones and just hold them to the QR code, and it will start you the content I've created up front with using the AI. Naturally, I've brushed it up a bit. It took about 5 to 10 minutes to brush it up, to put in some pictures, do some other brush up, but it didn't take me very long to do that. And you can even drop very, very large documents on it. And I think it's really great to have that option, because all of us have loads of documents everywhere, and why not reuse them in this way? Because it gives you a very good summary of those contents. It creates interactivity out of them. And I hope you all got out your smartphones and held it to the QR code, and all of you are already looking at an e-learning content that is 97% AI and 3% Ollie. All right. Just to sum up our tour of what's possible at the moment, we've seen everything basically around text is possible. You can have text created out of a single command. You can have an e-learning content created out of documents. You can have the AI writing or rewriting a sentence for you. You can summarize things. It can help you creating text that can actually be read and spoken. It can speak text. It can analyze videos. And it can also create interactivity, which saves a lot of time in the creation process. And that's why I think it will be adopted much, much faster than other technologies, because it's so simple, and it's the advantages are so clear for us in the e-learning industry. Why not use it, And last but not least, I have one last slide about the future, the near future, actually. What can we expect in the near future? As I said numerous times, the AI models will get more exact and will provide better results practically daily. The large models are getting trained all the time, and they're really we've seen that they're getting better and better all the time. And as I said, don't wait to a certain point in time where you think that it's good enough. It is good enough, believe me. It is good enough. Jump on the train right now, try it out. And they will get also a lot better because they can process a lot more content at the same time. A year ago, you couldn't write a prompt that was longer than 250 characters. And now you can, drop documents with hundreds of pages on it. So it will be able to process a lot more content in the future, and therefore will be more precise and will get you better results. So that is the second point. And the third point is that the multimodal tools that combine text, pictures, and video and programming code, they will take over. They will be, OpenAI will definitely be involving into a multimodal tool. Google will come up with the multimodal stuff. So and we, from our perspective as a relatively small vendor or producer of such tools, will be using the large tools, and we are including. We also have already 2 tools, Microsoft and OpenAI included, and we will include all the other tools to use them for our purposes. And that's what really makes sense to me, I think. So that is what we can expect. And now there's nothing left for me to say. Just, if there are any questions, I'll try to answer them now. Or if you want to know something more, just go on, and you get the handout later. If you want to try it out, you can always click on the free trial for our tool that combines all the different AIs together.
Ollie, thank you. So we are, it's incredible. We've got about 10 minutes for questions. The conversations going on in the chat, we got questions around ethics, around, well, how many jobs is it going to take and is it right, kind of thing. But we have got some questions here which I'm going to pose at you. There was a question earlier on from Scott. This was a little while ago before we started showing some of the tools, but are there any AI tools that create non-text based content that's actually good? I find the images are a bit out there at best. They're a little bit peculiar. They never quite look photorealistic. What are your thoughts on that?
That's a good question. I mean, outside of text, the whole community, the whole AI community hasn't really nailed it, so far as I'm concerned. I mean, what they're working on is creating video, creating better looking pictures. I mean, some of the tools already can do better, but there we always go into the specialized AI part. If you train it to do a certain thing that really makes only that, like creating pictures of sunsets, for example, to say something weird, it will create you great pictures of sunsets, but it can't do anything else, So the large models are not there yet, but they will be. I think give this 1, 2, 3 years, and then it can distinguish it.
Fabulous. I think there's a question that's related to that, which came from Shannon earlier on, because she was asking about the complex content and what falls under this bracket, because we talked about the different. I've lost my point of text, the foundation models. We talked about the foundation models and simple content and more complex content. But how would you explain the difference between those? Is it just purely about specialism, or is there more to it than that?
No, it isn't. I think, there are, both have a point. It's a specialized model is good for specialized things. If you want to have a chatbot that is only answering stuff for your support crew, you can train it in a way that it actually gets 99% of the answers correct. If you want to create a training for, let's say, an e-bike insurance, and the next training is an information security training, and the next training is I don't know, a new product, or the other one is a sales training, you just can't go for a specialized tool. You need to go to one of the large AIs, and they are in general very, very knowledgeable, but won't know everything. So it's see, the way you need to see it is as it's a great help. You don't start at a white blank page. You start with basically 95% of your stuff already done, and the last 5% is what makes it great.
Which leads him beautifully to the question from Scott. So Scott Martin says, we hire experts to write content, then have experts peer review it. How do we avoid hallucinations in content creation? So this is again that great, good to great. And does using AI save time of creation, or would the increased quality checks mitigate the time saved when creating it? What are your thoughts on the hallucination and that quality piece, Ollie?
The hallucination part is it. It would be a concern if AI would be trained with AI. If you listen to the experts, to the AI experts, they will tell you, anything written by humans, which it's not foolproof, but anything written by humans is we need to take care that it does not be, that it doesn't go to waste. We need to protect that. Some of them already say that we need to protect human information, because if AI learns from AI and it does that numerous times, it will start to hallucinate. True. But that's only theoretical stuff, because it does not do that in reality, because it doesn't train from it doesn't learn from itself. In terms of quality, the thing with the user-generated content creation is that the source who creates the content should always be a subject matter expert. And if a subject matter expert creates something and lets the AI work on it, they need to read through it anyway. If there's the difference is it's directly at the source. Otherwise, if you have an expert team working on the basic creation, which is a waste of time anyway, to have experts writing basic stuff, that should be done by the subject matter experts, and then keep the fun parts for the creative people and for the specialists, because that goes back and forth like 10 times between them, and so the subject matter expert would only be refining the AI stuff and then hand it over to the experts. But I don't see a real problem. I wouldn't trust the AI as far as getting very critical, life-threatening stuff out there. If you do a cardio arrest training in a hospital and let the AI create everything, is not a good idea, I think.
No.
But for a lot of
and
for 99% of the other stuff, it's great.
Absolutely. And Maram's actually asked that as well. Maram actually picked that up as a question, saying, would you literally just asked it, where's it gone? Oh, I lost my mouse. There we go. How do you check the quality of learning content? Well, Maram, the answer is you run it through an SME. First of all, you go through a subject matter expert and you get your SME to understand it, because you don't rely just on the technology.
And sorry, Andrew, I might want to add something. It's to give
please do, please.
To give you a good example, I have a car that does level 2 autonomous driving, which means I flip on the switch on the motorway and then have the car run. That is so much more relaxing than it was in the past. But still, I'm there to correct it or to do something if it doesn't work. And it's a bit the same, here. Just don't do everything by itself. It just, that doesn't work.
There's a phrase I use. I turned it into some badges and stickers. You can't automate nuance, and I think that's the bit that we need to keep hold of. We can't automate the nuanced human elements of it, which I think is the thing we just need to be careful of. I'm going to end with one last question because we're going to run out of time otherwise. This was Sabina. How accessible is the content that I create with this tool? Does it meet WCAG 2.2 requirements? Does it meet all the requirements in terms of accessibility?
It actually does. If we're creating something with AMC Express, you can even try that out. It's if you can flip on the accessibility controls with click at if you view it on a PC in the browser, the link I gave you, click on tab and then enter, and then it will switch to the WCAG mode, actually to the plus mode. It's I think better than all the other e-learning tools on the market at the moment, because we're so text based, and it keeps track of that, and it does a great job.
Awesome. Thanks, Ollie. Please, everybody, put your comments in the chat. Please say how you found this session. I know the conversation has been going backwards and forwards. Ollie, I guess, will probably go in and have a look at it afterwards, and just have a look at all the comments and things that have been going in there. So a massive thank you to you, Ollie, for the session. Really, really good stuff in there. You've probably still got other questions. Obviously, you go through the link, and we'll also have a set of the slides available for you to look at. You can go back through and have a look at the content afterwards as well. So brilliant, everybody, today. Thank you for today. I should only have been doing this afternoon, but you've ended up with me all day. And guess what? You get me first and found next time as well. So we're back on Thursday, and we've got Mike Osborne with us. And Mike's talking about unlocking inclusive learning and how we can use generative AI. Second session on Tuesday is looking with workplace impact and impacting organizational performance, and that's from Elephants Don't Forget. We've got accelerating skills development and performance with AI coaching, which we're hearing from Saffron Interactive, and then we've got Anthony Williams is going to be chairing Nigel Payne. We've got Nigel Payne here Thursday afternoon, about using learning to transform organizational performance. So we're still talking about learning, we're still talking about technology, but we're talking about 4 entirely different areas on Thursday. So thank you for all of your interaction today. It's been an absolute blast. I've been delight having everybody here, and we'll see you all again from Thursday this week. So please do take care, everybody, and we'll see you all again soon. Take care now.